just got a text on my phone that said vive tu vida. I look at the devil and told him God bless.
I have a message here from Fasu. I think I got your name right.
That's my guy. That's Fletzo. That's my guy with this.
It is. He goes, me and all my nerd friends are tuning in from El Salvador. And he wants to know what your favorite master bus compressors are.
My favorite master bus compressor? To me, the master bus compressor that I'm using now, which I'm super hot on, I showed it to you already, is the Abbey Roads. And really, if you think about it, I don't do a lot of compression other than the limiting at the very end with an L2, right? But that's only for me. The L2 is not going to go to mastering. I literally leave the limiting and compression. I try to leave the limiting and compression to mastering. But I love, for example, let's look at this real quick. So this is the compressor part of the Abbey Roads, and if you notice, there's a mix section here. So I'm really paralleling the compressor. I'm actually bringing in about 19% into it. It's just to give it a little heat, a little energy. But this compressor sounds great. But because I'm using it that way, I don't exclusively just run a compressor. I don't take an SSL compressor and just do the whole mix to it. I don't like to commit to that. I feel like just as much respect as mix engineers get, so should mastering engineers, and they do this all day long too. And I like to leave it open for them to sort of, put the last compression touch on it.
It's actually one of the things we talked about in last week's open session that I did with Piper Payne. So if you haven't seen that, go back. One of the things we were talking about, because she used one of my songs for it, was the fact that the version she used to master was one that had nothing on the master bus.
Right.
So sometimes mixing into something, I don't know if you agree, but sometimes mixing into something can actually give you a false image of the mix.
Correct.
Yeah. We have another question here from Pedram. Pedram has an interesting question. He'd love to learn more about why some beats, like break beats, are more groovy and driving than other ones are. He goes, same BPM, same instruments, but there's some magic sometimes in some beats that makes you want to dance. Is it the compression? Is it the mix? Is it the EQ? It's an interesting question.
It's an interesting question. That's a very broad question, because that could be a production thing. It could be a creative thing. Meaning, let's say you're making now we're going into a production thing. So let's say you're making a beat, right? The swing that you use to quantize the sounds can completely change the bounce. So what we do, as far from the polishing, EQing, and that sort of thing, there's times, and the way we can kind of make a rhythm move too would be with compression, where the compressor maybe is sitting, feels good with the rhythm of it. So in other words, we're doing like a late threshold or a late attack, and then a fast release. Maybe the compressor comes in after the kick, and it gives you a little bit of a pump. But I've done a couple of records where I've had the entire mix grouped, or the entire music, I should say, grouped to a group as I have it now, and I've sidechained the kick and snare to sort of bounce the music around and create rhythm. But innately, if you just hear a beat, it's more than likely the way it was created. It's the time signature, the way it was programmed. I mean, that's why musical people, that's why they're so good at what they do.